So let us now learn about the orbital complications. So what do you see in orbital complications? First, orbital complications, it is the most common complication due to sinusitis is orbital complications. It is most commonly seen in ethmoidal sinusitis. It is most commonly seen in children. So the clinical features are in orbital sinusitis, you will see presence of high grade fever, pain in the eye on the side of the lesion. You can see chemosis of the eye, proptosis of the eye may be seen with diplopia, that is double vision, and you will also see decreased visual acuity is seen. One important syndrome in orbital complications is we have superior orbital fissure syndrome. In superior orbital fissure syndrome, the most common sinus involved in this is actually the sphenoidal sinus. Here, sphenoidal sinus is most commonly involved in superior orbital fissure syndrome. Here, the patient presents with deep orbital pain will be there in the patient, and there will be headache will be there, and also there will be palsy of paralysis of fourth, sixth nerves are paralyzed. And among these, which of the following is first involved? Sixth nerve palsy is the first nerve to get paralyzed in superior orbital fissure syndrome. Then the next important complication is we have orbital apex syndrome. What is this orbital apex syndrome? In this, we have superior orbital fissure syndrome. It is superior orbital fissure syndrome along with, if there is involvement of optic nerve and also if there is maxillary nerve involvement, then we call it as orbital apex syndrome. The treatment of orbital apex syndrome is you should give antibiotics. Antibiotics should be given and analgesics should be given and nasal decongestant should be given to the patient, and even surgical decompression should be done. So this is orbital apex syndrome. Then we have the next important syndrome is which complication is we have cavernous sinus thrombosis. So in cavernous sinus thrombosis, first here there is infection of two things. One, infection of ethmoidal sinus is present, and there is also infection of sphenoidal sinus will lead to cavernous sinus thrombosis. So in cavernous sinus thrombosis, cavernous sinus, it is actually present the medial side of cavernous sinus we have pituitary gland, and on either sides of pituitary gland you have cavernous sinus. The cavernous sinus are connected, two cavernous sinuses are connected by a connection, isthmus. Okay, now in the cavernous sinus, if you see in the to the lateral side of the or lateral wall of the cavernous sinus, you will see oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, ophthalmic branch of trigeminal nerve, and maxillary branch of trigeminal nerve. You are seeing oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, ophthalmic branch of the trigeminal nerve, and maxillary branch of the trigeminal nerve. Then in the middle you will see the presence of abducens nerve goes through the center of the cavernous sinus, and then there is an artery also which is seen, which is internal carotid artery is seen in the center of the cavernous sinus. So if there is cavernous sinus thrombosis, now if you see a thrombus which is present in the whole cavernous sinus, now what happens? This will compress these nerves. Okay, so among these, what is the first nerve to be involved? This sixth nerve is actually the first nerve to be involved, and whenever there is whenever there is sixth nerve involvement, this is SO4 LR6. So sixth nerve will supply the lateral rectus. So involvement of sixth nerve will cause something called as lateral gaze palsy is seen due to the involvement of sixth nerve. And because of the involvement of third, fourth nerves, there can be complete ophthalmoplegia where the whole eye can also get paralyzed. Because of the fifth nerve involvement will cause decreased sensation in the upper part of the face. Then you will also see engorgement of retinal vein is seen. Now what is the treatment is? Obviously you will have to give high grade antibiotics are given, because the main problem here is the infection of sphenoidal and ethmoidal sinus will result in cavernous sinus thrombosis. So you should give high dose antibiotics should be given to the patient. Then the next important thing is complication is osteomyelitis. So this osteomyelitis, here this is infection of the bone marrow. It is most commonly seen in frontal bone or frontal sinuses, because this frontal sinuses actually it is diploic bone. Because it is diploic bone, it has veins in it. So thrombophlebitis are more common in the diploic bone, which can result in osteomyelitis. Then what are the clinical features? The patient presents with fever, malaise, headache. The patient will have, this is called as spots, puffy swelling. There is puffy swelling under the periosteum of the frontal bone, which is called as spots puffy tumor. If this is the frontal bone, any bone is actually covered by the periosteum. So there will be a swelling in the periosteum of the frontal bone, and this swelling is actually called as Pott's puffy tumor. Because of this osteomyelitis, this is Pott's puffy tumor, that is swelling under the periosteum. Next, how are you going to treat the condition? The main treatment is you can give broad spectrum antibiotics are given to the patient for 4 to 6 weeks, and you can also do surgical drainage can also be done in the patient. Now there is also osteomyelitis can also occur in the maxilla. If osteomyelitis occurs in the maxilla, it is most common in infants and in children. Okay, it is most commonly seen in the infants and children, because in the maxilla there is, and in infants, the spongy bone is present in the anterior wall of the maxilla. In the anterior wall of the maxilla, you will see presence of spongy bone in children and infants. So in children and infants, osteomyelitis of maxilla is more common. Then we also have next complication, which is dental complications are also seen. In dental complications are most common in maxillary sinus, that too those related to the second premolar and those related to the first molar are more common. Dental complications related to second premolar and first molar are more common in maxillary sinusitis. Then if you see the systemic complications, first we have toxic shock syndrome can occur, but though it can occur, this toxic shock syndrome is a rare complication. In toxic shock syndrome, the patient, it is mainly occurs due to staphylococcal aureus, and here the patient presents with fever, hypotension, rash and desquamation and multi-system failure. Patient presents with fever, hypotension, rash and desquamation, and it also presents with multi-system failure. Then if you see the one more complication, last complication, we have mucoceles can occur, or pyocele can also occur. So what do you see in mucocele? Mucocele is, if this is the sinus cavity, if this is the ostium, if this ostium gets blocked due to any reason, mainly due to the sinusitis, the ostium will get blocked, and this blockage will lead to the accumulation of fluids in the, because drainage has been not there. So because of drainage is blocked, there will be accumulation of fluid, and to this fluid there will be infection, the bacteria come, and thus it will transform to pyocele due to the infection. So what is the etiology? Etiology is done. Where is it seen? It is most commonly seen in the age group between 40 to 70 years of age. It is most common in males followed by females. Which sinus is mucocele most common? Mucocele is most common in the frontal sinus first, followed by ethmoidal sinus, and then it is most common in sphenoidal sinus, and then it is most common in maxillary sinus. So it is most common in frontal sinus, ethmoidal sinus, sphenoidal sinus and maxillary sinus. Now if there is a mucocele in the frontal sinus, this frontal sinus will push the orbit down. See, this mucocele in the frontal sinus, it is a non-tender firm swelling. Okay, this will push the orbit forward, downwards and laterally like this. Okay, the swelling is present mainly in this region, so it will push the sinus downwards and laterally. Whereas if it is present in the ethmoidal sinus, think that it is present in the ethmoidal sinus. If it is present in the ethmoidal sinus, then it will push the eyeball forward and laterally. It is pushing the eyeball forward and laterally only. It will not push the eyeball downwards. Like this it will push. Okay, so what is the treatment of chronic mucocele? You should do Lynch-Haworth operation is done for mucocele. In Lynch-Haworth incision we give, and you do radical frontoethmoidectomy is done. Thank you.